Baby boomers were asked, how much money does it require you to be considered wealthy? So 99 baby boomers, 180 millennials, Gen X 212. What do you think Gen Z's guess was for how much money you need an annual income to be considered wealthy, Brooks?
$1 million or above.
Brooks, you're so much smarter than everybody else. You're literally one of the only people who's ever gotten this right. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Inside Game. This time, unfortunately, my brother and I, we just can't be in the same spot. I mean, it's pretty sad though, Derek, right? Like, I mean, think about it. We couldn't be right next to each other.
It is. You would enjoy being here at this house in this pink room.
Yeah, so Brooks, tell me, why are you calling in from a pink house, by the way? That's a nice looking room you're in there, by the way, Brooks.
You know, they say real men wear pink, but a even realer man could be in a pink room and do a podcast. So that should be on a shirt. I'm actually in a family member's house. We're getting ready for Turkey Day, and I sequestered myself into my niece's room.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a room that'd be quiet. I don't think anybody else is going to be coming in there, Brooks, is what I'm telling you.
No barging in. What was that one time the guy was doing his podcast episode and the little baby came in the walker? We're not going to see any of that today.
I mean, it's not as good as when we did our podcast from the bathroom, but look, few things are as good as that.
I mean, we're going to try to find the most peculiar places to do podcasts. The bathroom is definitely number one on the list. Pink room is sliding up to number 2.
And Brooks, listen, I'm excited to be on here because, look, you and I had a hell of a time. We're down in Mar-a-Lago just a little bit ago. And the thing we really want to talk about right now is Mikey McCoy, the chief of staff at Turning Point USA. Boy, did he bring it from the stage or what, man? Did he bring it?
Yeah, he's blowing up, man. And how old is he? He's in his 20s, right?
I mean, he looks like he's 12. I mean, he's married, and I see his Instagram with his wife and stuff. I'm like, are you allowed to be married, bro? No, but, I mean, you talk about the fire, the passion, channeling Charlie Kirk. I mean, really impressive. It was awesome. Honored to have him on our stage for our event down in Mar-a-Lago. Really was impressive. And he said some things that really were pretty thought-provoking, and I want to hit on a couple of them because we're going to splice in some of his comments on that Future of Education panel that he did with our good friend Aaron With of the Freedom Foundation.
That for the first time for young men, graduating men of college have the same joblessness rate as men who didn't go to college in the same age bracket. And so they're graduating college with a ton of debt to go find jobs that don't exist. In 2010, it was 30 years old to buy a house. Now it's 38 years old is the average age to buy a home. And they're making a statement, which is, if things don't change economically, we're going to get radical politically. We're hopeless that maybe we're not going to be able to afford a home one day. We're reckless in that maybe we're going to turn to violence in the streets and protests.
Hopelessness leads to recklessness, right? That was exactly what the quote was. And Derek, so I want your thoughts on that, and then I got an amazing set of stats I want to hit you with.
I mean, I think he is on beat. I think what he was alluding to is like where we are today in our climate politically, also economically, with kids graduating college and not having a real plan of where they're going to make money and how they're going to make money. They paid so much money and they're in debt to earn this piece of paper and come out and have nothing. It's going to lead to a radical movement where people are hopeless, and then it turns to recklessness, and in his words, getting in the streets and doing something about their poverty level or lack of opportunity.
And maybe that's why you get a socialist mayor in New York. By the way, so here's the stat I want to give you. So there was an article that was out in CNBC and a bunch of other places a year or two ago. I'm going to give you the first 3 numbers, and you got to guess the last one. Baby boomers were asked, how much money does it require you to be considered wealthy? And the average answer for baby boomers was $99,000 a year in income. Millennials, who are currently 28 to 43, they were asked, and they were told it was $180,000 to be considered wealthy. Gen Xers, which I am, 44 to 59, were asked, and they said 212. So 99 baby boomers, 180 millennials, Gen X 212. What do you think Gen Z's guess was for how much money you need an annual income to be considered wealthy, Brooks?
I'm going to say a million or above, somewhere in a million.
Brooks, you're so much smarter than everybody else. You're literally one of the only people who's ever gotten this right. The number is 587,000. But the point is, it was a number that was out of reach. There was no, in my opinion, there was no thinking in what the Gen Z number was. They just picked a number high enough that they felt like they weren't going to get there. So think about it. Almost 2.5 times what Gen X counterparts said, and 5 times what baby boomers said. And again, my opinion, it had nothing to do with 587. I think there's no actual math behind 587. But to your instinct saying it was more than a million, it was just a number that they thought they'd never freaking get to.
I pulled out a million because I think where we are with today's kids are, they're not looking at 9 to 5 as a realistic job opportunity. They're looking at, 10x and making money on the internet, social media, and those things bring in top dollar. So they're looking at making 50,000 a week as opposed to 50,000 a year, right?
It's the new celebrity culture, right? And yes, there's a small number of people who get there. At some point, people are going to realize that's a pipe dream for most. But when your influencer you watch on Instagram all day long posts her beautiful house and all of her trips around the world, you think, well, I'm next.
Right. And they don't really look at the whole picture of that influencer, right? Like if they go way back, because they only care about what's here and now. So if you go way back to when the influencer first started, they might have been doing these videos outside of their car, right? Gradually, as they became popular, they moved from the car to a room, a pink room, and they go from that pink room to a bigger house, right? And then they go to their mansion, but they only see the mansion. They never remember.
That's right. Yeah, the hard work, the effort, the whatever, and it just. I get that sometimes on college campuses. I'll get asked to give a talk about starting a company and, I'm a 9-time founder, blah, blah. And inevitably, there's always somebody in the audience gives me this smart ass question that's like, well, Paul, it's so easy for you. You started a company with Mark Pincus and, Zuckerberg came to your office for advice. I was like, bro, why do you think Zuckerberg came to my office for advice? What, I was some random dude? No, I built a social network 2 years before his. And they don't see all the work that happened before. They see the end product. Oh, well, you're friends with so-and-so now, so it's easy for you. Bro, how'd I get there?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Like when I go and speak at colleges, the first thing they say is, do you hang out with LeBron James? And I say, no, I don't. And they say, they think my job is to go in, sit courtside around 7 o'clock, watch the game, and then leave and go home and hang out with the players. That's the whole job.
Oh, and pick up the tab. We heard that story. We heard the story about when you had to pick up the tab.
Yes.
You'd call mom. Remember mom had to bail you out on picking up the tab.
Yes, she did. And she probably still does.
All right, let's hit some other things from Mr. McCoy. Let's hit the next one.
The left goes out in public at a No Kings rally and celebrates the death of an assassinated political opponent. The right has leaked group chats. Out of context, off-color joke group chats. And if you're going to ask us to condemn off-color jokes in a group chat that was leaked, and I'm going to have to condemn 1/5 of the college population that makes jokes in private group chats. And there is no moral comparison. If I can compare a YR group chat to threatening to kill children, then I can get away with a lot more. I can get a communist elected in New York City. I can get, crazy protests on college campuses.
So Brooks, look, you just heard what Mikey said, and it's interesting, but I think he actually is right, but even misses the boat. Is there anybody anywhere who thinks celebrating a political assassination is a good idea? Right or left? Is there anybody who kicks back and goes, yeah, that's what we should do today. I should go out there and celebrate that one of my political rivals got assassinated. Boy, oh boy, those people exist though. We've seen their texts, we've seen their posts. We got rid of one. who the hell thinks like that, Brooks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't have a world where everyone communicates or thinks the same, right? Like everyone has their own methodical reasoning for what makes them feel good, right? And so there are some people out there that celebrate death, no matter how it comes to someone. And it boggles my mind because we are all humans. We're all here. We're all equal. We're all the same. And to think that someone else's life is less than because of maybe what they believed in or what they've done in their life, it just seems off color. But to celebrate it is just, it's asinine. It's something that I will never be
Brooks,
able
I
to.
have a theory on this, by the way, too, and Arthie and I talk about this all the time. I just think at the end of the day, if you like your life and are happy walking around the neighborhood and can find joy in driving your car over to McDonald's, you're not going to be a person who celebrates somebody getting shot. But if you're a miserable person who doesn't like their life, you want to spread that misery to everybody else who gets in your way. And I must admit, Bucks County politics taught me this. It was all about the miserable people who didn't like their life trying to make my life as miserable as theirs.
Yeah, well, that's it's a saying, misery loves company, right? Like that's why you ever been driving on 76 or 95 and you're wondering why it's taking so long. The traffic is crazy. And then you finally get up to it and you see an accident. You see the ambulance there, the police, the fire trucks. But then you see the people who are driving so slow because they want to see it. They want to
Yeah.
to me, I don't get it. If I can help, I would stop and help. But if there's nothing I can do, you control what you can control, you keep going. Like, we're all going to be late to work because you just want to stop and stare and watch as somebody else's miserable day of getting into an accident. And you're right, there's people out there that they don't like where they are or how they got there, and they have to find someone to blame, but never look in the mirror.
By the way, on that thing about watching the car accident, I'll never forget this. I don't remember if it was 3, 6, or 10. Those are the three local channels here in Philly. I remember they would use the phrase gaper delay. And I remember being like a 3 or 4 year old kid. I remember asking my dad, I go, Daddy, what's a gaper delay? Because they use that phrase like everyone would know what the gaper delay is. Gaper delay on 76 leading to slowdowns. Daddy, what's gaper delay? Oh, all those people who want to look at the car rack? I'm like, crazy. I didn't know you had a word for that, but they're kind of awful.
Yes, I don't know if anyone would claim it and say, sorry, boss, I'm late to work. I was gapering. I'm the gaper.
I was gapering.
Hope sees the world as it could be. Courage steps into the fire to make that a reality. And courage without hope is reckless. Hope without courage is just a dream. So Gen Z and young people have a lot of courage right now. They want to stand up, they want to do something, but they feel a little hopeless. And that hopelessness leads to a little bit of recklessness. And so they go and look to him, and they hope that maybe he'll bring the change that they're hoping for.
So look, here's a place where I'm gonna make a slightly different point than McCoy makes here. I see a lack of courage both on the right and left to go do things. I see a lot of talk, 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 talk. I see a lot of organizing. I see a lot of patting each other on the back for having the right beliefs, even on the right, not just the left. I'm not going to make this a partisan kind of comment the way I think McCoy did. I wish I saw more Gen Z kids with courage. And what I mean by courage isn't the ability to go do things, but the actual non-laziness to go do things. If I have one frustration in my day job right now, Brooks, it's these Gen Z kids. They do not have the work ethic that the millennials and the Gen Xers the way I do. They just don't work. They don't believe in the lack of work-life balance the way entrepreneurs I work with are. And I hope Mikey's right when he says that we have a group of very courageous, young, in particular, maybe male conservatives. Because, hell, I want to work with them because I want people who aren't goddamn lazy in my companies. I'm going to tell you that, Brooks.
Yeah, yeah. It's the old adage, like you could learn to fish or you could be fed fish, right? And I think that because a lot of these young kids have been fed, it's difficult. Aaron McKee, who's a Philadelphia basketball legend, played for Temple, also coached Temple, played for the Sixers when they went to the championship. He had a speech, and I'm not going to quote him exactly, but it was something along the lines where he said, "My grandfather walked so that my dad could run, so that I could fly, so that my son could walk again," right? And I didn't
Right.
understand it,
Good.
and it hit me. His son's going to walk again because he was flying. His son took pure he took it for advantage. He took advantage of the fact that his life was so easy. He didn't have to walk the way the grandfather did, but now he has to because he doesn't have the same abilities that his father had, that his grandfather had, and that his great grandfather had. And that's what a lot of the young kids, they've been fed so much that they don't know how to fish. And that's the issue all around.
Well said, Brooks. All right, let's hit the next one.
So in 2024, Charlie had the third largest TikTok account when it came to views and engagement in the world. Bigger than Taylor Swift, bigger than Kamala Harris. And so you wonder, okay, 13-point shift, youth vote won in Michigan. Maybe we're doing something right here. This is how we really reach out to young people to get them involved for the first time. It's a great harvest on social media when it comes to young people, especially when it comes to young, conservatives that maybe aren't bold enough to speak up about their beliefs.
Of two minds here right now. We're coming off a day in which nobody on the right won anywhere in the United States, right? The 2025 off-year election was an absolute blue one everywhere. Here in Bucks County, not a single person won. Not a county commissioner, not a school board member. In Central Bucks, the school board is now 9-0. And so it was a butt whooping. And so while September was Charlie's assassination and we heard Mikey speak in October, we'll see what happens in 26 when the off-year when the congressional comes back. But in some really purple areas, Team Blue showed up way more than those kids that Mikey's talking about did. And I'm not sure exactly what that means for 2026, Brooks.
Yeah, my opinion on the political stuff is it's always cyclical, right? Like, we'll talk about a team in professional sports and how horrible they are. With the exception of Washington Wizards, they're going to stay horrible for as long as they exist. But any other team, they spend 5 to 6 to 7 years on the bottom, and then somehow they rise to the top through draft picks or acquisitions. The political parties remind me of that. It's, once the red wins, then everyone finds a reason not to keep them where they are, and then everyone votes blue again. And then once blue is in, it's a year or two goes by, there's some stuff that happens, and then we keep going back and forth, right? At the end of the day, it's got to be some stuff that everyone has in common. And I think when Mikey was talking about how the young kids are going to get out there, and I think he said something like 120,000 people coming out to ask for new chapters. When he's talking about Charlie and his social media content and the people following him, to me, what jumps out is that watching Charlie, he gave everyone a voice, even the people he thought was absolutely wrong, right?
That's right.
And so that's what causes the Gaper delay, right? Because no matter what, everyone's stopping to watch. Everyone's stopping to comment. So it's no surprise to me that he has better numbers than Kamala or Taylor Swift. Taylor, you know what you're going to get with Taylor. She's going to, whatever ex she has, you're going to get some music about that ex. With Kamala, she's just telling you what she wants you to know, right? And if Charlie is sitting back and saying, go ahead, tell me everything you want to tell me. Call me every name under the book, and then I'm just going to flare back at you everything you said. I'm going to rebut most of it, but I'm going to give you a full communication, and I'm going to air it so everyone can see it, right? that to me, that's what gained popularity. Everyone wanted to be around that so that they could have that voice.
Yeah, and by the way, too, I mean, one of the things that Charlie just before he died was he told everybody to go watch that episode of South Park where they made fun of him. And I'm just telling you, like, that's Eminem and 8 Mile. Like, if you don't understand the ending of Eminem and 8 Mile, where he takes away all of the other rap artists' attacks on him by making fun of himself first, right? I mean, really, just to, I know it was a kind of a movie some people saw, some people didn't, but man, what a statement around how you win in those situations. And for Charlie to embrace getting made fun of by Cartman is exactly why he had the kind of following that he did. I go through this myself. I'm obviously nowhere near as famous as Charlie. I don't have anywhere near the following. But here in Bucks County, man, the people who don't like me, they love to come out and criticize anything that they don't like. And sometimes you stick a little Easter egg in there to get them to just jump all over themselves because they are as humorless as they appear to be on social media.
Makes sense. I like the Easter egg thing.
Yeah, and he's sitting right there. Easter egg sitting right there. There he is. Here's my buddy. My hippo is right there. That's my Easter egg. All right, Brooks, let's see. What do we got next?
Since Charlie's assassination, we've seen an incredible amount of people wanting to get involved in Turning Point. Chapter inquiries, so this is for our high school, college programs. We're sitting at over 130,000 students who have reached out wanting to start a chapter on their campus, whether that be high school or college. And then we've started 3,000 new chapters. This is all since September 10th. We've had over 115,000 students for the first time ever come to a Turning Point USA chapter meeting. So these are students that before 9/10 probably weren't that involved in politics, and now they're starting to care about America again.
Yeah, so, all right, Brooks, I mean, I think the most jaw-dropping part of our entire experience down at Mar-a-Lago was when Mikey said this. 130,000 people in 6 weeks, because our event was, about 6 weeks after? It was about 6 weeks afterwards. In 6 weeks, 130,000 high school and younger kids contacted him about starting a new chapter. I mean, I don't even know how they kept up with that volume of emails, Brooks.
This is like a movement, right? Like,
right.
They've responded in the way that you would expect them to respond, and even above expectation. This is what we talk about when we say less talk and more doing, right? So the ability to reach out and say, hey, I want to have my own chapter, not at age 25, but at age 15. I think we saw a kid that was in 7th or 8th grade come up on the podium and start to speak about what he believed in and his faith, and he wasn't afraid. You think about middle school, that's when we're coming into our own, hormones are out of control. It's very difficult to stand on your own 2 feet and say, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, right? Most of us go throughout life without that part of the DNA in us, right? And so to think that there are young people out there that are claiming and putting their flag in the ground and saying, this is who I am, and this is what I believe in over 100,000 kids, it shows that we're moving in the right direction in terms of people really standing up for themselves, standing up for their families, and standing up for the future.
Yeah, it's amazing. So look, again, it was a real privilege to have him up there. The whole panel was great, but we really got to call out what Mikey McCoy, the chief of staff from Turning Point USA, did. The whole event was in Charlie's memory because Charlie was going to be our speaker. And, I feel like we did his memory right by the event we hosted. And I'm thrilled you were able to be there. And I'm also thrilled we were able to get Mom there. How good was it that we got Mom there, Brooks?
It was. Mom was in control, too. She really ran the night.
She did have a couple drinks, though. A couple. She was happy.
A couple. She turned in a little later than normal.